Thank you for coming, folks. Before we get started, if everyone could silence their phones or put them on airplane mode or something, just so they don't ring while we're in the process of doing things, we very much appreciate it. So calling this meeting to order on February the 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. If you'll join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Clement?
Here.
Ms. Nguyen? Here. Ms. Sonic? Here. Mr. Booth? Mr. Flowers?
Here.
Motion to excuse Mr. Booth. He's sent an email stating he's broke down on the highway currently, so I don't think he's gonna be making it.
Second.
Well, we'll have to vote on this.
My second.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen? No. Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Flowers?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
I did not receive an email.
Well, I can assure you, you did. Everybody on council did.
Okay, well, when I left the home, I had checked the last of what came through and there was nothing there, so. But that's
So
fine,
it's-
we've already voted, it's been voted, it's done.
Okay. Well, this will be an excused absence.
That was 3-3.
The unexcused. We'll discuss it.
It would be unexcused.
5:48 p.m. is when we know through.
Well, I was already here. Okay, so now we're gonna do the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Did everybody receive the minutes?
My understanding is yes.
I think it's formality. They usually ask.
Okay. Is there, any corrections for the minutes for the last 3 meetings?
I think we have to approve them each meeting at a time.
Okay, so one at a time.
Yeah, I think we have to approve them one at a time.
Okay, so for the first one, which was 122, any corrections?
So,
Motion to approve, which is has
so are there corrections that need to be?
There are corrections that will need to be made, if
Okay,
some minor things.
that's fine. If we do that, we just need a motion that we're approving with the amendments to it, but if we don't all know that it.
yeah, state what the corrections are, and then we'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections.
Okay. I was getting ready to do that. Okay, so one of the corrections that I had was, where it states, Mr. Smith said he would not vote for Mr. Rowe because of his phone policy. And it was actually because of Mr. Rowe's insistence that council report to the city manager. Council would then, the city manager would then decide what council needed. And he would then approve whatever went on to Mr. Rowe. The other thing is on the business and organization, it shows her last name is Sheard, Wenda Sheard, who spoke. Right. And I think it was like one little typo, it's not big deal. So that's all I have. Yeah,
Okay,
so
motion,
it was this
motion to approve with
monitor.
corrections. Motion to approve with corrections.
Second.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers.
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
This is me just beating my printer cut this off, so I'm not sure. You can look and tell me on the bottom.
You just cut it off.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
So we looking at the fifth?
Yes, so on February 5th, I was just showing her, and I think what it was is my printer just cut the bottom part off, so I didn't have it. And then the only difference was that when we did ask Mr. Sappington during the finance committee if the budget could support the raise for Chief Barber, he said it could. And again, that's probably just a typo.
Okay.
Because he would do that. But he said that.
Yeah.
So you're making that correction on
I
that?
am making that correction. It was
Motion
just
to-
another typo.
Motion to approve the February 5th with the correction.
Second.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Okay. So the last minutes were from the Monday evening, February 6th meeting at 6 p.m.
Would that be Tuesday?
Yes, I'm sorry. It says Monday, but it was Tuesday. At any rate, Susan said that it was canceled before the meeting was even called to order. So I'm not sure if the
I
minutes.
make the correction and say it was canceled for lack of a quorum.
Okay,
well. Okay. I know.
oh, in the very bottom there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. The only correction would be that it was Tuesday and not Monday.
And that was canceled for lack of a quorum.
Yes.
Motion to approve the February 6th meetings with the correction.
Second. Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes. Okay,
yeah.
okay, we're good? Okay. So our next section, is for any of our citizens who have any comments or anything they would like to say. Any non-citizens, I do extend the courtesy for you to speak as well if there is something that you would like to say. Just, stand, state your name, your address, and then you can, speak what's on your mind.
Madam President,
Yes.
there used to be a little bit of a time limit in there on the,
It used to be 3 minutes, I think is what it was. Any comments?
Yep.
Yes.
Daniel Sherman, 317 4th Street. I got a question. I was just wondering if the trash bids went out and when do we expect those trash bids to be in? Because I think the time's coming up pretty soon.
Right, that's a good question. Oh, did he hang up? Because your phone's upside down, that's why I'm asking.
Tom, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still there. I needed to run something by council in executive session about extending a contract instead of putting it out for bid. So that's my answer.
Didn't we pass an ordinance on emergency to have you put them out?
Yes.
Yes, I'm getting verbal bids, and I'm talking to people about that, Mr. Smith, but I wanted to talk to council about a special item that I had that had to do with the good of the community, so I wanted to get some information first. That's my answer.
Tom, you was instructed by council on a 7-0 vote to issue trash bids.
Correct.
The information is out. Don't worry about it, Greg. I need to talk to you.
Have the bids been issued in the paper and have they been issued?
The bids have not been issued in the paper yet, no.
So here we are 21 days later on a tight schedule and the bids haven't been put out for people to bid on.
Not an issue, Mr. Smith. The contract was
It-
extended before the contract contract can always be extended again.
It is an issue if we don't choose to extend the contract. And we instructed you to put the bids out so we could live with it, so we could award a contract to the lowest bidder. And you just decided not to do it.
That is not correct, Mr. Smith.
Well, if you did decide to do it, show us the bids and when they will be returned. You can't do bids by asking people. They have to go out as a legitimate bidding process.
Thank you. Mr. Kangemi, you were specifically advised by this council to put the bids out about 21 days ago. Now, that should have been done. It should not have been put aside so that you could work on whatever contract it is you are wanting to award to whomever. So in the future, I would strongly suggest that when council passes an ordinance specifically directing you to complete a task, I strongly advise that you do it as quickly as possible. Thank you. Do you have a question, ma'am?
Yes, Alex Ross, 763 Poplar Street. I'm very interested in saving the investments made in the Athens Hocking Recycling Center. And I wonder if Nelsonville is considered joining the Council of Governments, which seems to be a way to approach that issue.
That is not something that we have discussed as of
I have
yet.
an answer for that also.
Just a moment, Mr. Kangemi. We are speaking. We have not discussed that as of yet.
Well, I hope you'll consider it. I have a second issue.
Okay.
Most Nelsonvilleans never come here and witness a city council. It is theoretically available online, but in the most boring, long view format. Speakers at the podium are not visible.
Right.
I know in the past, there was a woman with a video camera that was more, you need close-ups. You need maybe a Hocking student in film and video. You need a little more accessible, user-friendly way for the citizens to see what's going on here.
Okay. That's a very good idea.
Well, the woman that used to do it just did it from, on Facebook Live and held the phone up
Okay.
and had a little microphone, and it was a lot better quality than what we had.
But Channel 5 used to do it too, right?
Channel 5 used to do it, and quite frankly,
Maybe just one of them.
I do that.
Did you push all three?
No, I just pushed the one that was off.
Well,
So,
That went off.
Mr. Kangemi, you said you had an answer for the cog?
Yes, as I tried to explain before, everything is interconnected together with everything from COG to Athens Hocking Recycling, the 911 contract, and that's what I need to speak to council about.
okay, thank you. That is a very good idea. And you know what? I will bring it up with council and see if we can't speak to Hocking College and see what they have to offer in terms of, having someone here with a camera that would give you their angles. And I agree, half of the council members don't even show up. I completely understand. And that is a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? No? Okay. I have,
Madam President,
yes,
business and organizations next, I think.
okay. I did have something I wanted to say very quickly since
Oh,
we're
I'm
in the
sorry.
middle of comments.
I didn't want you to forget about that one either.
Okay.
I think there's somebody here who wants to talk about business.
So what I wanted to say is that I was very disappointed, Mr. Kangemi, in how you treated Mr. Voltolini on Saturday evening's meeting. You were very rude, condescending, and really quite insulting, which was completely unnecessary. And for that, I do apologize, Mr. Voltolini, that you had to listen to that.
I appreciate it. There's no need for an apology, but I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now we had, business, anyone?
Yeah, thank you.
You guys can come up to the table if you want.
If it's
Have a
easier for
seat.
you, you can, it's fine.
I don't necessarily need to. Hopefully it's
You
short.
won't be on the camera there, that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't need to be on the camera.
No, you're pretty. You can get on the camera.
Yeah.
So my name is Sierra Macon, I'm an attorney here in Nelsonville. I also am the solicitor for the village of Brookville. And as many of you already know, the Nelsonville Police Department has a contract, or did have a contract with the village of Brookville to provide police protection. That expired at the end of December, and we would like to continue that contract. We have, from our position, we've had that approved by our council members. It's been signed by the mayor, myself, and our clerk. And the contract is basically the exact same as it was previously. It's a 2-year contract for $32,000. The only significant difference is that the first payment in that would be a police vehicle, a 2015 Ford Explorer Cruiser that's valued at about $8,000. That would be the first payment because we no longer can use it without a police department. And I believe that Chief Tolliver's indicated that the village or that the city could use it as part of their.
Did you bring us an ordinance?
I did not bring you an ordinance, but I can draft one.
Well, I
Well,
thought,
I think, we probably need to discuss it as an entire council before the final
well,
decision is reached.
what we probably would do is have an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into that contract, and then the discussion would be during the introduction of that ordinance.
Okay. So, if.
Yeah, I just would point out again that it expired in the end of December, so now we're in February. Our first payment would have been due in January. We'd like to get into this contract and get you guys paid, and we appreciate the services that we've had. The citizens of local are very appreciative of this arrangement, and we think it works well for everyone.
Okay, well, if you'll get that to us, we'll try to get it done as quickly as we can.
Madam President, I think at one of the committee meetings that was even discussed.
It was one.
It was with the police car
Right.
Okay,
and the payment, and it was a 2 or 3 year contract. And
Right.
so I think all we need to do now is, what you guys need to do is just put
Well,
an ordinance together.
take an ordinance with the suspension of rules and emergency, and I was hoping she had it with her, we could amend the agenda.
okay. Well, it was discussed in committee, but not in council.
Right,
So
as soon as
we
it's
would need to
introduced in
discuss it in
council,
council.
yeah, it can be discussed.
Mhm.
Who would you like me to get the copy?
I'll take it.
No, so you just want me to be on camera.
Well,
Turn around
everyone
and
needs to see.
Turn around and wave.
It's mine, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Mine.
There's your 2 minutes of fame.
There you go.
Yeah, wait.
Anyone else? Any committee discussions happen since the last meeting?
Police and fire did not meet. But I do have an update, to make everything, kosher, so to speak, with our rules and regulations and charter. I was informed that the police and fire could not go to, the 911 facility or Hocking College without putting it out for the public and inviting the public to go also. So we had to scrap that idea. But Nancy and I are going to go Wednesday to Hocking College and just review the facility and talk to Chief
Insky.
What?
Insky.
Insky. Insky, yes. Talk to Chief Insky and just see, I mean, I really feel that before we make that kind of a decision, before we spend $85,000, I've been trying to find out about our tax levy that we just passed. I've called everybody I started with the state representative, Jay Edwards. He told me to get a hold of Jill Thompson. Jill told me to call the election board. The election board told me to go to the county. I just talked to Jill, the election board today. First, they told me to go back to Jill. But anyway, make a long story shorter than it is. So Nancy and I are going to go because we're just two council people going to it rather than the committee. And I think Corey wanted to go, and I think Mr. Clement wanted to go also. But
Can I make a suggestion about that, that any two council members that wants to call over and ask Chief Ipsky if they can come over, they can do that on their own. And otherwise, when you get to the third person or the public, you have to comply with the sunshine law.
I think I just said that, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if anybody else on council wants to go, make your own appointment and go over. And it don't take more than one other council member, so we stay within the law.
Oh, okay.
So it would be you and Ms. Sonic,
Miss Sonic are going to go.
and Corey would then have to go on his own.
I've already been to
Someone else.
Hocking College. I've been there before, but I'm interested in definitely seeing the new facility on the plains.
Yeah, I'm gonna set that up also. That'll be the same thing, Corey, if you guys wanna go. I don't know how with two councilmen the same day going, I don't know how that works, you know? I mean, there'll still be 4 councilmen in there if we do that, you know?
Not at the same time.
Yeah, you can do
You mean
it.
they go on the separate day?
Yeah,
Oh, yes, well, okay.
You probably do it the same day, just don't do it.
not together.
At the same time.
Legal, but you gotta earn it right there.
We had a finance committee meeting and we approved a lot of legislation for Taylor to bring in, and we also have to finish the budget by March 31st, I believe it is. And I think the committee decided that they want to go through every budget line again before they made the determination to finalize the budget. So that was what we did at the finance committee.
Any department updates?
Yeah, I've got one tonight. So for the month of January, we had 402 total calls for service, made 91 traffic stops, issued 36 citations, 13 parking citations, 10 trespasses, did 7 traffic crashes, made 40 criminal arrests and 10 warrant arrests. We've also had 4 cars stolen so far this year. Most of them have been stolen while they were either outside warming up or they have like push button starts and the key fobs were left in the car. So please pay attention to what you're doing with your vehicles in the morning. Don't leave your keys in there. Don't make them easy targets to be stolen.
Could you, put something in writing, some type of, warning or something that Mr. Pfeiffer could put
Yeah,
online
we
just for the citizens
Yeah,
to read? Okay, thank you. And of your 402 calls, can you let me know what were the most of the calls? Were those just like non-emergency calls or?
I don't have all the specific breakdowns, but there's quite a few domestic complaints. A lot of families arguing, theft reports. John, what do you feel those common calls have been lately?
Probably domestics, been happening a lot.
You know, winter months, people get stuck inside the building.
I'll leave for a second.
We'll be here.
We'll save your seat. I got a question. What are we doing with these ATVs that keep running around? Whatnot? It seems like, I think 1 or 2 of them might have scanners, because it's like as soon as
Well,
a call's put up, they put them away right away.
the city's ATV ordinance expired at the end of the year. And it needs kind of
Oh, it needs to be revamped.
it needs revamped
Okay.
for sure. I know I've previously sent a new ordinance, it's a lot more specific in, but I can't. Have I sent that to you, John?
You know what, I believe you did, that first police and fire meeting we did, but,
So it probably needs to run through that. and
Yeah,
the
let's do
additional
it.
committee.
yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's,
I think you still got kids running double and
Yeah.
four
Yeah,
wheelers.
the new ordinance I came up with just kind of follows Wayne National rules, and bans having passengers, because that's the biggest issue is people.
But I think we need to set maybe some
If
streets.
it expires,
Yeah.
we are still under a high rise code, which makes them illegal right on the city street.
I think Mr. Kajimi had a great point one time when he said that maybe we should just let them do that during, how did you put that, Mr. Kajimi? The,
Mr. Clement or
I mean,
Mr. Kajimi?
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm pointing to him and I bet he's thinking, why is he calling me Kajimi?
You're fine, go ahead.
I can't, but you had a point, just do it during the season of ATVs, like they have this certain season that they ride that, is that correct?
Yeah, I think we should follow the guidelines of the Wayne National.
We do.
Yeah, I think that's what
The
previous
dates
one-
were off a
Yeah, the
little
ordinance
bit.
is only for when they were open. When they closed,
Yeah.
when we closed, when they closed, we closed.
That's what he
Just one
said.
at a
Yeah, but
time,
the date-
please.
Yeah, I didn't know we had another councilman here.
Go ahead.
The dates were off a little bit from what we had compared to the Wayne National. So if we could, sync those, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's good. That's cool.
Can you send that to me as well, please? Because I know I didn't get that. Thank you.
If an individual calls you about the ATV, you'll call out.
Yeah, we've been going out and telling them the ordinance is expired and we're currently not allowing them to
I think
ride.
I heard one or two of them had scanners and like, I think the one up there by the school, thank you, Mr. Clement. One up by the school would be out riding his motorbike or something like that, and then as soon as police were called, all of a sudden he ducked back into the apartments and that was it. But yeah, I heard he had like a scanner he was keeping an eye on.
One other question. Has anyone been ticketed on those ATVs?
To my knowledge, I don't think so, not lately.
Okay,
It's been mostly educational, the fact that the ATV ordinance is expired.
okay.
We
And
still
no
have
one
signs
was-
up too that says ATTV.
And no one
Yeah.
was ticketed while the ordinance was in effect either, were they?
I wrote ATV tickets.
Did you? Great, great.
How many do you write, sir?
I do a lot of stuff. I can't tell you exactly, but it was mainly people like blatant traffic offenses. People were running stop signs, speeding down roads, just being nuisances.
The
Very
thing,
good. We appreciate that.
the thing that concerns me, I've seen a lot of children on them when, actually two kids come down Washington Street from the library, went across the square, pulled a wheelie as they went across. And I think a child on an ATV is just begging for a broken neck or a death.
Well, that
So-
was gonna be my next
Yeah.
question. Were any of the ones that you guys stopped, were any of those the ones that had the children on them? And I mean little ones, because I've seen them without a helmet, without shoes, just,
I stopped a couple that were having passengers.
Okay. okay. And those were ticketed?
So depending on what the original stop was for, sometimes the ones that I would do, the sections for not having insurance, not being properly eliminated, and not following the steps of the ordinance that spelled out for recommendations that they have.
Okay,
So initially, the ordinance was, enforcement was educational,
right.
but I think that time has passed.
I agree with you. I think it has passed. I think it's been long enough so that those that are riding the ATVs should know by now.
They should pass, yeah.
So
Yeah.
once we get this revised and passed, I think the time for, well, I'm giving you a break just so you can learn is over, and they need to start getting their tickets.
And I also think we ought to include a child engagement part on the ordinance
Yes, that's
for-
most definitely.
for putting children on those things and with, basically without helmets or without any safety equipment whatsoever.
Is it possible to remove the signs of the city limits?
Sure.
Until that's taken care of.
Ask Tom if he can do that. Take the signs down until the ordinance is repassed.
Tom, can you, are you able to take down the ATV signs?
Quiet, please.
Not
Oh,
you,
not you,
Tori.
sir. I'm
Not you.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I'm gonna.
Just trying to make sure Tom can hear you.
My only thing about doing that is that we would be paying a city employee to go take them down and then paying him again to go put them back up.
It wouldn't
Within,
take very much.
Yeah, the public perception when they enter the town with their ATV, when they see ATV friendly, and there's no disclaimer of specific dates that the town's ATV friendly. It doesn't say go see the city website for the rules, it just says we're ATV friendly.
Yep, that's all it says.
if council all feels like that's a good idea, then we can see if they can be removed. How does everyone feel about that?
I have a question for Mr. Volpolini. With the signs, if we take them down, put them back up, where does that leave liability for the city?
Mr. Cliff, I'm not being a smart ass at all about the
Nope.
city attorney. I can't answer that question.
Okay,
But we
so that would be
we
my
haven't
question.
voted on it.
That would be my question.
Okay, well, once we get,
If I may, when we first started looking at this ordinance about the ATVs, it was 2017 when the Ohio Revised Code made legislation throughout the state of Ohio that if ATVs are roadworthy and have licenses and are properly insured, doesn't matter if you have signs up or not, they are legally allowed to drive them on any street in the city that are 35 miles an hour and under. So I just want to make that clear that if you take that ordinance away and people still see ATVs out there, that they may be street legal, that
Right.
they're allowed to be driving them. And I don't, I'm just trying to ward off any complaints towards that people have a legal right to drive them on the road.
And
If they can get
Can I-
a slow speed, you're talking about the slow speed vehicle tags people can get.
yes,
can we wait till Matt becomes the law director and get that particular opinion
right.
issued? Because I disagree with what he said, but I'm willing to take a lawyer's advice on what.
I was just gonna say that, that once we get to that particular ordinance and it's approved, then he can come back and look at your question, Mr. Clement.
Thank you.
Okay?
A very good question.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other department updates?
The utilities, nothing has been meeting because evidently they just run fantastic in the city of Nelsonville, and I've never been approached. So,
Well, once we get past this week, we'll start setting up some committee meetings for that as well.
There's a lot of work to be done, really.
There is, and we'll start getting on that. Okay, well, at this point, we would start on the second reading of some of the ordinances that we have already had the first reading in previous meetings.
Do you want to try to do that first
Yes,
If
before we do anything else?
If I may, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session before we do the ordinances. Under 121.22 for personnel and legal matters. Because if we do these ordinances and going into executive session after, it's a moot point. So I think we should move
Can we do
executive session to.
well, I would like to do his ordinance first only.
Okay.
So that he can then be able to advise us on the legalities of the rest of the stuff that we're doing.
Okay.
If that's okay. Okay. So let's, do that one.
A resolution hiring Matthew Voltolini, attorney at law, special counsel for the city of Nelsonville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Nelsonville, Ohio is without a law director. Whereas Jonathan Rowe, attorney at law, was only authorized to act as law director for the city of Nelsonville, Ohio, for the month of December 2023. Whereas Nelsonville City Council voted on January 22nd, 2024, not to confirm Jonathan Rowe to continue as law director. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Ohio as follows. Matthew Voltolini, attorney at law, is appointed as special counsel pursuant to Article 6.05 of the Nelsonville City Charter
to act in the position of Nelsonville City Law Director for a period of 3 months. The terms of Matthew Volpellini's employment by the council are defined in an employment contract attached and made part of this ordinance. Matthew Volpellini, attorney at law, will hold all powers and privileges of Nelsonville City Law Director. This ordinance being passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11 as an emergency in the operation of the city government, and is necessary because the city of Nelsonville must have a law director immediately. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on second reading, the 12th day of February 2024.
Madam President, so on this ordinance, so this is an individual that was hired by Mr. Smith directly?
No.
You hired him on a personal?
No,
What
I
are
did
you
not.
talking about, Mr. Taylor? I'm trying to
Well, no,
understand what you're saying.
I'm asking that Mr. Smith hired this attorney outside of council for a private matter.
Oh,
That was
It
2 or 3 years
it's
ago.
irrelevant how much time it was. The fact is you did, correct?
Mr. Taylor, you did as well with.
No, I didn't.
All right, order.
No, I'm asking a question. I think I
Yes.
deserve an answer.
Can I
Please.
answer, please? I did hire Matt
Okay.
about 2.5 years ago to defend the traffic ticket. I did hardly ever known him. He was recommended to me by Candy when she gave me the devil about, she said, you just had to use my name, but that's how I found him. And, so I called the Ethics Commission Friday and I asked, am I allowed to participate in the hiring of a attorney who once represented me 2.5 years ago? I was told as long as I don't have it, as the relationship was severed, and I do not have a continuing business relationship, and that's the point there is having a business relationship, that I was free to engage in discussion, and I was also free to vote in the discussion, and I was also provided documents by the attorney at the Ethics Commission that said that sent me those rulings on that, and that I will be glad to share it.
I would love to see.
Yeah.
So just to clarify though, okay, so I'm gonna make a point because I watched Saturday's meeting where I was accused of having a business relationship, which is actually a lie. I never had a business relationship with Mr. Rowe. I was in a dealing with him where he represented the seller. So I never hired him. You said that I hired him, which is not true. So when you're saying people are lying, it's not me. You actually hired this gentleman for something. I never hired Mr. Rowe. So I'm clarifying that this is, to me, is more of a conflict than my relationship with Mr. Rowe because I actually did not hire him. It was not a business relationship. Not at
Okay,
all.
order. It's over.
How about we
Mr.
let the
Rowe
High
is
Ethics
done.
Commission decide that?
I've already called the Ohio Ethics Commission and you are definitely much more of a conflict than I am. So trust me.
According to you.
According to me. I'd like
Enough,
to see your
gentlemen.
documentation.
Talk, please. Enough. Thank you. Okay. No.
So is there a motion or?
Well, that's what I was getting ready to
Okay.
say. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there a motion on the floor to hire actually, to pass it as an emergency? Sorry, suspend the rules.
We don't need to suspend the rules because it's on second reading. We just need to vote on the
Oh,
ordinance.
that's true. We did do it the last time. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, is there a motion to then hire Mr. Voltellini as special counsel to the city of Nelsonville?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. I will second. Thank you. Please call.
Council discussion.
I think we have discussed it.
Well,
That's fine. I have something to say, Mr. Clement.
Thank you. So I brought up the agreement in the section two of responsibilities about the attorney being able to meet with private citizens. I truly believe that is problematic and could lead to issues down the road. We already have a system in place for citizens to come in if they have issues. We have a police department, a city manager, and a code officer. Beyond that, I have trouble understanding how a citizen could have an issue to discuss with the city attorney. So I just want to put that back out there. Thank you.
Matt?
We talked about this before, and I think that's a fair question, but I think that is intended for those things that fall through the cracks. In other words, if you're not getting an answer from whoever, then you can come in and talk to me, and in the best case scenario, I can answer it. The worst case scenario, I say, I can't answer it, and in the middle is I'll pick up the phone, I'll call somebody and say, hey, what can we do about this problem? That's my understanding.
So will there be a record of who comes in and talks to you?
Oh, I think there would absolutely have to be by appointment.
Okay.
Yes,
So that doesn't create client confidentiality.
they're not my
issues?
client.
Just check.
My client is the city council. I can only answer general questions. If you saw the meeting Saturday, as I explained, if someone comes in and says, hey, I got this traffic ticket, I don't think it's right. You're talking to the wrong guy. You know, you need to hire an attorney.
I understand. You also represent the city.
Yes,
Yeah.
the city attorney represents everybody. So if someone has a question, at least I can maybe get them in the right way, get them headed in the right way. And I think the idea is, and this isn't my idea, but I think the idea is, I think it's probably a good idea, is have someone sitting there that's approachable, that can at least put you in the right direction.
Just to clarify, whose idea is it?
Mine.
So as the city attorney, you represent council, but not council as individuals.
Correct, absolutely, just council, correct. And all the various other entities within the city. Departments, I apologize, all the other departments within the city, yes. And I think the idea is just to have a public face of people come in, you know, as part of my job is to say, hey, this is the way it works. You know, I'm a law director, here's the city code. Well, what does this mean? I can explain what the city code means, but, you know, if someone says, I want to sue the city, get help.
So if it were to say, we set it up where you would come in maybe once a week, maybe a couple hours before council meeting as well, is that what you're suggesting?
Whatever the council tells me they want.
Okay, all right.
Well,
Because I think
we had
that was actually
agreed.
recommended by the previous.
Well, actually, I
city
can
manager.
answer that question, because when I spoke with Mr. Voltolini, we had agreed that he would be here twice a month for 8 hours a day in his office, available to any and all who had any questions regarding any work that they would be doing for the city.
By appointment.
By
It would have to
appointment.
be by appointment.
By appointment.
And it would have to be somehow vetted, so people don't waste their time and come in and say, I got this traffic ticket, what can you do for me? Well, this isn't the proper
Yeah.
form.
Correct.
In other words, when they called in the next appointment, you'd say, well, can you tell me what the issue is?
Right.
And if they said, oh, I got a traffic ticket, you'd go, well, time out, you gotta go.
Has the city manager made this recommendation?
No, he did not.
Is this a normal practice in other cities?
It is in the charter, as I said during the last meeting, that, under Article 6.05, Department of Law, it clearly states, and I can quote it for you again if you need me to.
No, you read it before. Thank you.
Okay, that simply says that the, council can appoint a special counsel to take care of, be the chief legal advisor for the city, in place of the city attorney, basically.
And that's typically when our city attorney wouldn't be able to serve.
No,
then,
it's
right?
not typically, no, sir.
Yeah, well, I
There
didn't-
is no
I
clause.
can name 4
There-
distinct instances where it was the case.
There is no clause in the charter that says only if the city attorney can't
Well, we
do it.
currently have a city attorney.
No,
that's
we do not. We have already voted that. We have released Mr. Rowe from his, service to the city. We had voted on it,
Okay,
and we're passing an ordinance tonight to come.
okay.
I do have a question on that, if I may.
Sure.
So it just say in there, it's necessary, what makes it necessary?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear?
What makes it necessary?
Council?
Yes.
Council makes it necessary. It's the same way when you declare an emergency. It is, if 5 members of council calls it an emergency, it's an emergency. So if a majority of council thinks it's necessary, it's necessary. I think it's necessary because we don't have a law director. It's turbulent times. They want to go in executive session tonight and we have no law director to
advise us on.
advise us. I just think,
I think we have an attorney that will advise us on why we would be going to.
that attorney was fired by council under the charter rules to fire the council.
There's a gentleman right there that's going to be advising us tonight in executive session.
Well, I'm not voting to go to executive session if we don't have a law director, period.
Okay, moving on. Does any of our citizens, do they have any questions or comments regarding our hiring Mr. Voltolini as our special counsel for the city of Nelsonville?
Did you say 3 months?
It's just an initial contract for 3 months, kind of a probationary period.
Okay.
We had done the same thing for the previous attorney. He had a 1-month probation period, and we chose not to rehire him. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us a little bit about the gentleman?
Absolutely. Would you mind?
No, not at all. Hi. I've been in the practice of law since 1988. I undergrad and graduate degrees law degree from Ohio State. I've been in private practice my whole career, mostly civil litigation, but I've done a little bit of everything from probate. I do very little bit of criminal law, not anymore. Domestic probate, a lot of business law now, lots of contracts, lots of civil litigation over the years. So I'm very experiencst. I've actually changed the focus of my practice lately to be involved more with people rather than in the bigger cases. I kind of grew tired of the litigation part of it. I enjoy dealing with people directly. And I explained on Saturday, and I'll say it again tonight. I'm here not because someone, like 3 people got together and said, "Man, you got to help us out here." That's not why I'm here. Respected Buddy and Tommy, my dogs. I don't got a dog in this fight. I'm here because they asked me to come here and be a fair and neutral arbiter and just explain the law to them. And hopefully I give quality opinions, which I'm very confident I will. But that's why I'm here. And it's something I actually really want to do. It's something I haven't done before. I haven't worked on this side before. And I'd be very excited if I'm lucky enough to get appointed to do it.
I think we'd be very lucky if we chose to stay.
I agree. So I will say this for those that were not here Saturday. When I first contacted Mr. Voltolini, he asked me specifically, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "I am looking for an ethical attorney who will do the right thing." That is it. And his answer to me was exactly what he said to you. And that's what I wanted to hear. Because we need someone who is going to be able to advise everyone, not just council members, department heads who are working with legal things. So, and to give us the best advice so that we can make the best decisions for the city moving forward. And not, well, I'm going to say this because my buddies, I got to make them happy. No, I wanted somebody who is strictly about the law. And that was it.
That's it.
Good job.
Thank you.
May I say one more thing?
Yes, of course.
And it may sound counterintuitive, but a lot of times council's gonna ask me questions, departments, and my answer is gonna be, I don't know, I have to look it up. I'm not afraid to say, I don't know, and I'm not gonna shoot off the cuff to give you an answer that I think is gonna be a popular answer.
Right.
I wanna make sure the answers I give are correct. So.
Which is perfect.
If I may add, for the record, not all council members were aware that you were being considered and kept abreast of it.
I will agree with that.
So,
It was a last minute thing. The last meeting, you can laugh if you like, that's fine.
Okay.
At the last meeting, Mr. Conjemi stood up and said, "Get me an attorney."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I spent every hour since then, until I was able to speak with Mr. Voltolini, who agreed to at least come for the first meeting, which was Saturday, and listen to what was going on and possibly consider working with us. That is why.
Absolutely, that is true, but not all council members were aware.
Well,
I'm sorry, thank you.
I want to address that because initially, the day I called Matt, he asked me, what does the job entail? And I said, how about you call Rita and you call the city manager and talk to the city manager about it? And that was,
You
that,
recommended him?
no, I was calling people, asking them if they was interested in taking the job. Not only him, there was like 25 people ahead of him, and I got told no like 25 times. He was the first one that said yes. I said, oh, if you're interested in taking the job, I give him Rita's phone number and I give him the city manager's phone number, and that was the extent of our conversation.
Great. That's a little much. 25 people are in here.
I think it was.
Well, there were a few at any rate.
And there was a lot of hell no's in that.
Mr. Sappington, you have a comment?
I just have a question. It's an easier one than the one you guys are tackling. This ordinance, it says ordinance 1624, but then the first two words are a resolution. So I just wondered if council or, well, maybe one of the attorneys who are in pro bono could advise whether this is an ordinance or a resolution.
It's an ordinance. It's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance. We had given Susan so much stuff in the last probably 3-4 weeks that, you know, mistakes happen. But we're gonna fix it and it's gonna be not a problem. Yeah.
Not blaming, just wanted to make sure.
I mean, I'm just thrilled that Susan hasn't said, I'm done, I'm leaving, because we have given her a lot. Yeah. Yeah, so, so it is actually an ordinance, not a resolution.
You need a motion to adopt.
Any other questions before we have a motion? Yes.
Where does he live?
Centerville.
Circle.
Sorry, Circleville. Centerville's back in Texas. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I live in Circleville, yeah. Actually, outside of Circleville.
Home of the Pumpkin Festival.
Correct.
I have a motion to accept
So we have, what are we doing? Tell me.
We're voting
We're
On him.
on hiring him.
Yes.
You have a motion, a second.
We had already done that, yes.
seems like days ago. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Mr. Clement,
Procedural concerns, no.
Ms. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic.
Yes. Mr. Flowers. Did you already answer?
Yeah, he went
Yes.
first.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Hey, I get no respect.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Tierney. We're very happy that you're going to be part of it.
Yes.
Yes, they
Thank
have. Okay.
Now, as far as all these resolutions, I have no idea. Don't ask me.
Yeah, right. But you're fired.
What was the next one? I know we haven't done it.
Shortest employee ever.
Madam President, I have a question.
Discuss one.
Will this ordinance have to mature for 30 days or will it immediately be adopted as we're going forward?
It's an emergency.
We file for the emergency before it pass. So I think it has to mature for 30 days.
Does it? Yeah.
Good job.
Well, if it has to mature for 30 days, I'm not looking to go into executive session without a law director. Period.
Why don't we wait till we get there, Craig?
Well, I would ask that if council want to reconsider their vote so that we don't go another month without an attorney.
Would council reconsider passing it as an emergency Mr. Clement? Okay. Well, so at this point, we will vote on whether or not we will go into executive session.
There has to be a motion and
Okay,
So moved.
all right.
inviting in.
At this point, we would invite in, are you Mr. Richards?
I am.
Mr. Richards. And I would also invite, I realize he's not an attorney for 30 days, but I would like to invite him in.
You can invite him. And Mr. Kinjemi's
Mr.
on the phone.
Voltolini,
Mr. Kinjemi's on the phone.
that's fine. Okay,
Did you invite him, Mr. Kajemi?
Mr. Kinjemi can come as well on the phone. Before we vote, I would like to say, I don't think that what needs to be discussed needs to be done in a in an executive session. I think for the citizens' sake and all the ridiculous stuff that's floating around out there, it would be best if questions could be answered here, because I do have some questions for you, Mr. Richards, and I know you came prepared to answer any questions and help in any way that you can. I feel, that's my personal opinion. I know everyone may feel differently, but for me, I do not think we need to go into executive session to make discussions about this.
Can I be heard on that?
I'm sorry?
May I?
Sure.
Want to reintroduce myself. I know at Net Council, my name is Austin Richards. I've been retained to defend the matter brought by Gary Hunter. As your attorney, I can speak to you in executive session freely. Now, in the open forum, I can only speak to you if a majority votes to waive the privilege that you have with our discussions. If that's the case, I'm happy to speak to you in this open forum about my recommendations and my analysis on the matter.
Okay.
Make that known.
So we would need to vote on waiving, you said,
The privilege that the council has with me, the attorney-client privilege,
okay.
can be waived by a majority vote.
Just to be clear then, that means sensitive, private information, even regarding Mr. Hunter, can be discussed and openly. So that anything that you say in the meeting that's factual based on their investigation could be harmful towards him. I'm just saying, like, if you open that up, it
Could be, and then again, it could not.
okay. I'm just
Thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
So
I'm
well, I'll
sorry,
wait
you
till-
had a question?
I'll wait till you make the motion, then we'll have a discussion to go into the executive, correct?
Right,
The
but
motion,
if
there's a
you,
motion and a second on the floor currently.
but if you need to make a comment,
Okay,
you're welcome to do it
I think
now.
what they're saying is we would have to vote on the executive session before we voted on the privilege, because the motion and the second is on the floor to go in executive session.
That's correct.
So are we under discussion of that now?
Under discussion of going into executive
Yeah.
session? Fine.
Okay, so also it concerns personnel, which we most definitely cannot discuss in open session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think we can make a blanket statement about personnel. The motion to go into executive session should be to discuss the pending litigation with an attorney, which is section G3. And saying personnel and legal matters doesn't cut it. And if you go to the AG's training on sunshine law, they will tell you saying personnel matters and personal and legal matters doesn't cut it. They actually, in the webinar, they put that up on the screen and says this don't cut it. So I would suggest everybody vote no on the issue on the floor right now. Go back, make a motion to excuse Mr. Richards from the privilege, and then make another motion to go in executive session.
Okay. Is everyone good with that? Okay, so let's vote on whether or not we're going into the executive session that has already been motioned and seconded.
That's quick. Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
No.
Ms. Sonic? No. Mr. Flower?
No.
So now we would vote on whether or not we would be willing to forego the client attorney privilege, correct?
Well, there'd have to be a motion before you can vote on it.
Right.
Motion.
Right.
I'll make
but I'm
a
trying to
motion that we excuse Attorney Austin Richards from any privilege with Nelsonville City Council or the city of Nelsonville. Would that do it for you?
So glad.
Mr. Richards agrees with the motion, so if somebody would second it.
I'll second it. All right.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Mr. Clement?
No.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Take your time.
I guess I do have a question. Too late?
No.
So, what Corey said that we could discuss very sensitive stuff that could hurt Mr. Hunter's case, is that what you said?
That's not what I said.
That's why he's asking.
It wouldn't necessarily hurt his case, but it would hurt his character.
His character.
Well, I'm new to this community, but every person that I have ever met that for some reason his name came up has said nothing but good things about him. So I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not saying he's a bad person.
Well, I'm trying to say,
Just for
if I may
clarity.
finish what I started to say, I'm trying to say that you said it might hurt his character. I'm trying to say I may not hurt his character because the people who know him well and love him. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can I ask council if it would be out of place if I ask council a question? Would that be out of place?
No, I'm okay with that.
As this is gonna be, it's being televised, do you have any worry about someone on the other side watching and listening in and saying, oh, okay, I see where they're going? In other words, divulging information, this isn't litigation, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Currently in litigation, correct?
Yes.
And they may ask sensitive questions that the other side may not know. Do you have to worry about that?
We should be in executive session, absolutely.
That's the only question I have.
There's no excuse.
Okay, you can continue.
Mr. Flowers?
No.
No.
Now we have to go into executive.
There has to be another motion, and it should be stated to go in executive session to discuss pending litigation with an attorney.
And the section under personnel.
Well, if you're going to do the section under personnel, that has to be section G1, which I can't spit out. But so you can look it up. You just can't say personnel.
That's
You
fine.
have,
That's why I'm asking what
Yeah.
section.
it's section G1. If you want to look it up and read it, you can. Yeah.
So we're going in to discuss pending litigation with an attorney.
And inviting in,
Okay,
Inviting in Mr. Richards, Mr. Voltolini, and Mr. Kanjemi via phone.
And also the personnel. That has to be stated too, correct?
let me look up G1 on my phone.
Thank you.
I thought you said it was P2.
G1's personnel.
Okay.
I suggest we get that printed for everybody, so if they want to make a motion, they can just read G1, and that covers the Supreme Court case that says just reading G1 covers it for personnel. 121, 22 ORC.
Can we do the language?
I got it right here.
Okay.
To consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public official, employee or official.
All of that.
All that.
Wow.
And if you need to put that in the minutes, you can do it by 121, ORC 121-22, G, section 1.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I need a motion.
Motion to go into, executive session for
The stated reasons.
all stated reasons.
Inviting in
Inviting in Mr. Richards, Mr. Voltolini, Mr. Conjemny via phone.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Flowers?
No.
Mr. Smith?
For that, will you be able to advise council in that meeting?
You won't?
No.
Not yet, right? Okay, so.
No.
I'm sorry, I need to change my vote to no. I was thinking that he would be able to answer questions for me.
Although, Mr. Smith, I would point out, I think
I'm
the
sorry.
council would be better served in this particular matter in a private session initially.
Can we make another motion to allow?
That one hasn't finished voting on it, have we not?
Well, if they change their votes to no, it is. But then we could go back and do a motion to allow, Mr. Voltini to advise us on this meeting.
Okay.
No? Okay. Then we got Mr. Taylor.
Is this on the last vote or this vote?
This is on the last one we were voting.
Yes.
The one with all the language that Greg just looked up.
Okay.
Where are we
Now, if you want to make the other vote.
at? Okay. So motion to,
A motion to allow Mr. Voltini on a one-time basis to advise council during this meeting. For just this meeting.
until his third, yeah. Is
The
that
council
something-
says I can.
Okay, then I second that.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Sonic?
Yeah.
Mr. Flowers? Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Mr. Clement?
No.
Okay, motion to go back in the executive session stating that, without having to state everything again, G1 and G3.
Motion to go into executive session on G1, whatever, inviting Mr. Richards, Mr. Voltolini, Mr. Conjemny by phone, and allowing Mr. Voltolini for this one time by council vote to be able to advise council or answer any questions while we are in session. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Hey, we're probably unanimous.
We're going
Just a moment, please. We are going into executive session. What time is it, John?
It's 8:11.
At 8:11 p.m. I cannot promise you we'll be back quickly, but I will do what I can. We all will.
Ding.
motion to, return to regular session
So moved.
9:10.
at 9:10.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen? Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take care of that, so Mr. Richards can get on home. I'm sorry. We are gonna be tabling ordinance 1024, and that's the ordinance accepting Gary Hunter's legal claims against the city of Nelsonville until Mr. Richards has an opportunity to depose Mr. Hunter and provide us with additional information. Is that good for you?
And it does not settle the case.
No, we are not settling. I said that. We are tabling it until he.
Point of order, there wouldn't be any settlement until council voted up, took the ordinance off the table and voted on it.
Understood.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify. No settlement.
And I wanna also,
So is that the motion or do you need the motion?
I think I seconded the motion.
Okay, so there's a motion.
But I wanted to state that is, we're doing that on the opinion of our law director.
Correct. Okay. Yes,
We're bringing it off the table, right?
we're tabling it.
We are tabling it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is.
Until
just a
further
meeting.
notice.
Okay.
Mhm.
And ordinance accepting Gary Hunter's counteroffer to settle all of Gary Hunter's legal claims against the city of Nelsonville, Ohio for $148,000 in
Wait,
claims.
are we gonna do it?
You don't have to read
We
the whole
don't have to
thing,
read it, we're just.
just a motion to table. All we
Motion
gotta
to
do is
table it,
vote
yeah.
on the,
Yeah.
Okay.
Rita made the motion and I seconded it.
So then we just need to call roll. We're good.
It's just been a long day. a long-
It really is that long.
That's fine.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the next one? Back to the.
Thank you, Austin. You guys said.
Okay. So, let's see, back to the second readings. And if you guys, we're talking to our citizens, if you don't mind, we might forego citizens' comments just because it's getting late and we still have quite a few ordinances to go through, if that's all right with everyone.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to accept, enter into, and/or approve the January 17th, 2024 professional services agreement, Nelsonville Water System Improvements Phase 3. Whereas the city of Nelsonville desires to proceed with design and engineering of the Water System Improvements Phase 3 project to achieve readiness to proceed and increase opportunities for grant funding. Whereas the city of Nelsonville conducted a general engineering services procurement on November 12, 2021, and selected DLC to perform engineering services as needed when projects arise. Whereas water projects are included in that procurement scope with DLC. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Ohio, the city manager shall have the authority to accept, authorize, enter into, and/or approve January 17th, 2024 professional services agreement, Nelsonville Water System Improvement Phase 3 on behalf of the city. The January 17th, 2024 professional services agreement, Nelsonville Water System Improvement Phase 3 is attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated by reference as if fully rewritten in this ordinance. Duly enacted by council On second reading is the 12th day.
12th day.
Right. 2024.
Okay, any motions to, accept,
So moved. Motion to adopt.
adopt?
Second.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
An ordinance codifying Nelsonville City Council's January 22nd motion, 2024 motion to vote and vote to remove Jonathan Rowe as city attorney. Whereas Jonathan Rowe signed a temporary contract for December 2023 to provide legal services as Nelsonville City Attorney during the month of December 2023. Whereas Nelsonville City Charter, Article 4.08, Section 11 grants the City Council the power to remove the city attorney. Whereas Nelsonville City Council, during a properly noticed council meeting on January 22nd, 2024, had a majority vote to remove Jonathan Rowe as city attorney. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Ohio as follows. Jonathan Rowe is removed from the position of city attorney. The city manager is directed to pay all outstanding invoices for the legal services provided by Jonathan Rowe up to January 22nd, 2024, and that he be thanked for his service as city attorney. Duly enacted by council on second reading, 12th day of February, 2024.
Motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Mr. Clement?
Abstain.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Sonic?
Yes.
Flowers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
An ordinance setting a dollar amount where permission is required by ordinance to make any purchases over $10,000. Whereas the state of Ohio has changed the bid requirement for purchases of $75,000. Whereas $75,000 is a large amount of money for a small city. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Ohio as follows. All purchases which exceed $10,000 must first be authorized by ordinance. Utility payments to operate city property are excluded from this requirement. Duly enacted by council on second reading, 12th day of February, 2024.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Just a point of discussion here, Madam President. We had an ordinance, similar ordinance to this in the past. And all of our ordinances, after they are passed and become ordinances, they go to the auditor's office. And we actually had recommendations both from our county auditors as well as our state auditors that because there's too many ordinances based on the dollar amount. And I just want to bring that to your attention because you may not be aware. So if there's too many appropriation ordinances in the future, there may be maybe a flag on our audits.
Could I ask him a question? You mean it might look like we're not doing something right with our money, or what? What do you mean? Might red flag it?
Well, I mean, Mr. Taylor Sapany might speak to it better. You know, he's dealt with that issue in the past, but we've had an ordinance where they limited the amount of money that was allowed to be spent and moved within line items, and so that meant that every time you had to create an appropriation, which is part of council's rules, right? Yeah, what we have to do, we have to appropriate. So it just affects the day-to-day operation.
I think the point of this was.
I'm not asking what your point was. I'm just trying to let them know that this was an issue.
Okay, so, I understand that. And that is the reason why we make sure to put the utility payments and things, bills that the city pays on a regular basis would be excluded from this. So that that would not be an issue.
It specifically says purchases. There was some misinformation that was put in the paper or given to one of the news agencies that it takes 2 meetings, and I apologize, I've tried to kill that about 20 times, and I don't know what's wrong, and had it worked on today, and it just won't kill the record. We had a situation where money gets appropriated in the annual budget, and then something comes up to buy it, and it just gets bought without council's discussion or permission.
Right.
And I think the point of this was to try to make sure that every time an expenditure was made for a purchase, that you just come to council. Now, there was some misinformation put out that it would take 2 readings in 30 days. We have routinely, for 25 years, had 1 meeting, suspended the rules and put an emergency on it, and it went into effect the next day. So, and I'm sure that if there's a needed purchase, council's going to recognize that needed purchase, authorize it, and would be willing to immediately authorize it under emergency and put it in effect. So
We've also been accused of that happening too often on council. There's too many suspension of the rules and too many emergencies.
it can be done in 1 meeting on the suspension rules. And
Well,
That is
at
a
any
true
rate,
statement. That is a true statement.
if there are any large purchases that need to be made, they'll just have to come to council. So.
That's true, but
Yes, ma'am. What? I'm sorry.
I'm not supposed to
Mr.
talk,
Clement.
right? I'm sorry. I just have a question for clarification,
Okay, sure.
because been in his spot. If you do an annual budget and there's a line item for $50,000 and it's explained what it's for, and Taylor knows to keep it for that, what it's for, in that budget, you have appropriated that money. So are you going to make somebody come back again a second time for another appropriation? That's where the auditors will get you. But that's not to say that if there's $50,000 in a line item that is not specified for a certain amount, or for a certain piece of equipment, I think the city manager should come in and just explain that that's what he's using it for, and that for council. But you're getting really confused on appropriation ordinances and just how they work. You know, if it was in the annual budget, I never came back for another appropriation ordinance.
Well, I think what we want to do, at least until the finance committee has a chance to completely go over the budget, and I think this is kind of a stopgap measure because they got to approve a permanent budget by the 31st, and they just want to get control of the spending and know.
And that's fine, but I'm just saying.
And then you had the thing where, the
the
former council passed the budget and put a bunch of stuff in it that nobody on this council knew about. And then it wasn't even discussed with this council before it was bought. So that's why Rita asked me to offer this, and maybe if they go through the annual budget and be able to know every line item in it, that later on this can be rescinded or
That's
changed.
fine.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second, so, I'm sorry.
go ahead, I'll defer to you.
Well, I just real quickly, I know it's late and nerves are frayed, but I wanted to echo former auditor, Sue here, that I do think there could be some issues with the $10,000 number. I know there was internal conversations about this number. The number originally that kind of made its way to my office was 25,000. And there's a number of reasons why I think something like that would be more appropriate. I do think it could hold up things for departments. And the ones I'm really worried about are emergency purchases. Something like the sewer line or water line or something else here at the stations it's one of those has to situations like heat. And then I'm not saying council would. I know in that example, council probably would, but there is a risk there that the council could say, actually, we don't like that purchase, or it was too expensive, or you bought the Cadillac, you should have bought the Pinto or something like it's. So I guess what I'm getting at is I think it exposes the department heads to some risk. It makes, I'm just gonna be honest, it makes my job very difficult to navigate the risk. And then the definitions, I'm trying to think of like health insurance would be a good example. Health insurance is, I mean, by all definitions, purchased for the city, and it costs $45,000 a month. But it's not in the
And
language
again, that's
here.
one of those payments that happen every month, right? So
It
that is in number 2. It's excluded from that $10,000.
I would suggest if we could compromise and do it under suspension of rules, that we move the amount to $25,000.
I second that right there.
Well, if everybody will agree to suspend the rules.
No, we're not suspending.
We also have, we're still in discussion of a first motion, so. Go ahead, Mr. Clement.
Right,
we're
we
waiting.
still have a first motion. I'm sorry. Your turn.
Yeah, so I brought this issue up on the first reading. I think we need to research, because I think there's already something on the books concerning this. And again, it would be conflicting to have this passed also. I make a motion to table this until we can make sure that we are correct.
And have it reviewed by an attorney. I will second that.
That way, that takes care of it for tonight on the one.
We can't. There's already a motion.
You're right. We can't motion until the
That's
motion is
fine.
right. Thank you.
Well, unless there's a compromise to change it to $25,000,
Right.
I'm gonna stick with the $10,000 and vote for it, because somehow or another, this council has to get control of the spending.
Yes.
And you and Nancy are gonna go through the budget line by line
Yes.
as part of the finance committee. And,
I still think it should be reviewed by an attorney though.
well, we tried to hire him tonight and we weren't allowed, so. We can go back to that motion if you want, but.
So are you saying this council is overspending on money?
All right, let's not get into that right
It's just
now.
council discussion. I don't
No, it's
understand.
not. It's not. That's leading to an argument. It's argumentative. So we already have a motion. We have a second. Let's take the vote. Go ahead and call roll on this particular one for $10,000.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
No.
Mr. Flowers,
I'm gonna have to vote no also.
Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Mr. Clement.
No.
So the last one, we already did that one. The resolution.
Right.
It'll be 13.
The first one. We are gonna be tabling the resolution 13-24. Indefinitely. I'm sorry, the ordinance, I'm tired. The ordinance.
We are? We're not?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so.
We have to have a motion to that effect.
Okay, motion to table.
I make that motion.
I'm
I
sorry, but
second.
you have to read it first before you.
Okay, no problem. Susan?
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to negotiate a new 911 contract with the Athens County Commissioners and the Athens County 911 Emergency Communications Center for up to $85,000 annually for a term of 3 years. Whereas the city's police department needs dispatching services in order for the police department to effectively carry out its law enforcement duties. Whereas the city desires to contract with the Athens County Commissioners and the Athens County 911 Emergency Communications Center for the provision of 911 dispatching services for the city's police department. Whereas the Athens County 911 Emergency Communications Center already provides dispatching services for the city's fire department and EMS. Whereas the Athens County Commissioners and the Athens County 911 Emergency Communications Center are willing to contract with the city to provide dispatching services to the city's police department for a term of 3 years at an annual cost to the city of $85,000. Now therefore be it ordained.
Quiet outside, please.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now therefore be it ordained by the
Close the
council
door.
of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio, as follows. The city manager is hereby and shall be authorized to negotiate 911 dispatching services contract with the Athens County Commissioners and the Athens County 911 Emergency Communications Center for up to $85,000 annually for a term of 3 years beginning February 8, 2024. 5 members of council having voted to dispense with 2 readings of this ordinance, the rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading pursuant to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter Section 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law, duly enacted by council on first reading in the 12th day of February 2024.
Thank you.
Susan, just for point of order, I'll agree, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make your motion, Rita.
We already did that, didn't we?
I'll do it again, just to be
Okay,
safe.
motion to table it
Definitely.
indefinitely.
Second.
I have a question, please. Chief.
Yes.
Is it not true that at the present time, Hocking College does the non-emergency dispatch?
Yeah, they do both. So emergency calls get handled by 911 and then transferred to.
Right, and we have already paid them how much money for that 911?
For the dispatching.
We paid them $75,000 for the services they've rendered all of last year.
Okay, so can I ask, I mean, I understand what you said. And I understand everything that I read. And being former, I understand that. But can't we just hold off until the summertime before we go at this again for the 911? And they do everything, because you're gonna be paying them more money for something you've already paid them for. I'm just asking.
Our contract with Hocking is paid up till June 30th of this year.
There's not really a contract, nothing is.
Well, the money is still paid out, is my point. The invoice came in and the city paid it. And I'm sorry, Nancy, but I've talked to numerous people about it.
There is an invoice that was paid, yeah. No one was trying to not pay them for, just leave them on the hook for the money,
Right.
obviously. But it's getting to a kind of a critical point. So just yesterday and then this morning, a couple of dispatchers have now quit as well. And Chief Inskeep actually tonight is having to pick up the shift. And she picked up the shift last night as well. So their chief is working shifts as a dispatcher.
Have you informed her of that packet of complaints? Is that what you gave me?
Yeah, everything that I've sent to you guys gets sent to her as well.
Okay.
Can we,
I think this is a matter of our
can
health
we,
and safety of our
can
community.
we let the police and fire committee do their job? Because one of the things that very much concerns me is, one, we already pay as taxpayers for 911 service. And if there's an emergency that comes into the 911 center, they should be able to dispatch the police officers directly.
Exactly.
I don't agree with them handing it off to Hawken College because we already paid for 911 service. The second thing is, I lived through the hell of having a recorder there. And people on non-emergency calls have to call in the recorder.
That's not gonna happen.
Well-
Anything that needs someone dispatched out to, there'll be a phone option that transfers you to Athens 911 to have an officer sit there. It's not gonna be just left.
Well, I want to be assured that when dog calls come in or loud parties come in, that it's gonna be immediately dispatched to a police officer. Well, when they were at the meeting, they said they weren't going to, so I mean, Johnny needs to lock that down.
No, I remember.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't take dog calls, we
Yep.
don't take stranger outside calls,
They
stuff
did
like
say
that.
that.
Yeah, and see, I wanna make sure that that language is locked down by the police and park committee before, and I think the answer to this might be telling 911, look, we already paid for 911 service. If an actual emergency call comes in, you dispatch it to our police officers. Don't try to send it over to Hawken College. And what we're doing with Hawken College is trying to
You've
handle.
heard me say that I'm gonna go, me and Nancy are gonna go look at the Hawken College.
What date, is that the 14th you said?
That's, yeah, Valentine's Day,
Actually, you can go with them because you're not a council member,
yeah.
but that's what.
Because I've asked her for some documentation also on the response of officers to them. And so we can get both sides of the story. So, and that's all I want to do. I'm not taking any side in this. I just want to make sure that you guys are covered. And I want to make sure that this money doesn't just get thrown down the toilet that we've already paid Hawken College. I've asked Mr. Kajimi, what are we going to do with that 4.5 months of money that we've already paid Hawken College? Mr. Kajimi told me on the telephone that he said, I figure we just let Betty have that because of the inconvenience of going with 911. Well, that ain't what we're here for.
No.
We're here to appropriate and take care of that money. It's $75,000 in 4 months of that, we're talking about $25,000-$30,000. So,
If there's a way that 911 is going to make sure that non-emergency calls gets dispatched, I'm all for going with 911. And I also think what I'm saying about emergency calls, they ought to, instead of switching them off, they ought to go ahead and handle them. Because the citizens in Nelsonville already paid for that service by tax dollars. So it's things that the committee needs to work out with 911. And I want it on paper that they're going to somehow that the non-emergency calls are going to get dispatched.
and your officers that aren't on duty that want to go down there too, I mean, you're more than welcome to have them come down and we could maybe get together and figure out what the heck's going on.
So I just want to make a point about, yes, we have a duty to the taxpayers of this community to be, fiduciary responsible for the monies.
Well, I said first, the safety of the officers and.
Okay, that's what I want to clarify. We also have duty to make sure that there is safety to our employees as well as the citizens of this community. So we have to make sure, we have to take that into account. And I know there has been an offer extended to some of our officers in their off-duty hours to cover, however, in my opinion.
To cover what?
To cover dispatching, because they've lost dispatchers, so they've offered, to our officers in their off-duty hours to become dispatchers, and they would be compensated for that. However, that just enables the fact that they're not solving the issue that is over there.
Well, I think
And I
by
think that
them
needs to be
offering,
a fair.
they're trying to solve the problems that we have. You got experienced officers,
Corey, you knew that, but I didn't know that.
Let's just call it a question. I make a motion to call it a question.
Go, what do you want, Mr. Hugo?
I just want to try to clear up some misconception. Greg, you said that we're already paying 911, the city's already paying 911.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
What
yes,
else is
we
the
are.
city paying?
We're paying the same tax that everybody else in the county.
No, he means the taxpayers, not the city is paying 911. It's
The
the taxpayers.
the tax levy they just passed, along with taxes that are levied on the home phones, the cell phones, go for operating expenses. 911 does not draw any money from the county general fund.
No. I'm saying that with the same taxes that everybody in the county pays, citizens in Nelsonville pay.
I'm sorry, I used to work there, so I do know.
Well, I know that we was included in the last tax levy and our citizens are paying that. And we have the right, if someone breaks into my house, I have the right to call 911 and have it dispatched. All I'm saying is 911 should directly dispatch.
We're gonna take the vote now. We have called the motion and seconded. This will be the third time, so let's just get this done.
Sonic?
Table, yes. Yes, to table it.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Pop, Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Mr. Clement,
No.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes. Is this our last one? No.
How long do you consider indefinitely when you table a ordinance?
Tabling indefinitely simply means it's gonna sit on the table until which time we feel we need to bring it back out. It could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a year. It's indefinite.
If it goes past December 31st, it automatically is no longer an ordinance.
Okay. All right, moving on. We're gonna table that one because it's the first time I've seen it. Motion to table ordinance 1524, because this is the first time that I have seen that.
Oh, 1424, that, we have,
We're gonna table ordinance 1424.
motion to table it.
Second,
It needs to be read, it's first reading.
okay? And I'll introduce it, okay?
an ordinance confirming the city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rhodes to be city attorney for the month of December 2023, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract thereto and declaring an emergency. Whereas the office of city attorney needs to be filled. Whereas the city manager has authorized pursuant to Nelsonville City Charter 5.041 to appoint a qualified person to serve as city attorney. Its qualifications are set forth in Nelsonville City Charter 6.05. Whereas the city manager's appointment of a city attorney is subject to confirmation and approval by council as set forth in Nelsonville City Charter 4.08, 11, and 6.05. Whereas the city manager has appointed Jonathan E. Rhodes to be city attorney for a term commencing February 6, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2025, on a part-time basis. Whereas said Jonathan E. Rhodes possesses the requisite qualifications to serve as city attorney for a term commencing February 6, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2025. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The city manager's appointment of Jonathan E. Rhodes to be city attorney for a term commencing February 6, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2025 on a part-time basis is hereby confirmed and approved by a majority of council. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Jonathan E. Rhodes for compensation for the city attorney for a term commencing February 6, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2025 on a part-time basis. A copy of the contract is attached hereto as Exhibit A and is incorporated in its entirety for all purposes as it's set forth herein. The compensation for the city attorney for such term shall be as provided and set forth in Exhibit A. The city attorney shall have such authority and duties as are set forth in the Nelsonville City Charter for the office of city attorney. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, sections 4.09 through 4.1 as an emergency in the operation of the city government as the city is in need of legal representation and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption, duly enacted by council on first reading the 6th day of February 2024.
Okay, so do I need to do the motion again?
Yeah, do the motion.
All right, motion to table indefinitely.
Second.
Okay, now you.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Clement,
No.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic.
Yes.
I'm not gonna do this.
No,
I don't care what you say.
that's just crazy.
I don't.
Yeah, Madam President, I recommend we table, ordinance 1524 is the ordinance that was provided to the clerk was the inappropriate, ordinance. It's not the updated version of it.
Well,
And
perfect, because I was gonna table it, so.
Well, it's, okay, I'm making the motion.
Great.
It's not up to you, so I'm just making the motion.
I understand.
I'll
Okay.
second it. Do we have to make Susan read it, or can we just? do it?
No, she doesn't need to.
It's the incorrect ordinance anyway, so it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it has wrong information.
Go ahead. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, Ms. Sonic.
Yes.
Mr. Flowers.
Yes.
Oh, this is one for Michael Beck.
Well, we are gonna let Mr. Mussolini check this out because he wasn't sure about it. When he talked to me
1724.
last night.
1724, it's part of our project, so we're gonna have to,
Well, this is just first reading.
it's first reading, yeah, so, I'll introduce it.
I got questions too, but it is first reading.
Okay, never mind. We're saying nothing else.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and enter into an Ohio EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Fund Agreement on behalf of the city of Nelsonville for construction of the Regional Collection System Improvement Phase 4 project and designating it a dedicated repayment source for the loan. Whereas the city of Nelsonville seeks to construct the Regional Collection System Improvements Phase 4 project, and whereas the city of Nelsonville intends to apply for Ohio EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Fund loan and principal funds to finance the construction of the project, and whereas the Ohio EPA requires the government authority to pass legislation for application of a loan and the execution of an agreement, as well as designating a dedicated repayment source. Now therefore, be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Ohio, it is necessary to complete the Regional Collection System Improvements Phase 4 project for the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the city of Nelsonville. It is necessary to apply for a construction loan and principal forgiveness funds from the Ohio EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Fund. City manager of the city of Nelsonville be and is hereby authorized to request from the Ohio EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Fund the finance required to complete the construction of the project. That the method of repayment of monies loaned from the Ohio EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Fund shall be wastewater revenues generated from Nelsonville wastewater customers. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on second reading the 26th day of February 2024.
Can we ask that Michael Betts be here for the second reading?
We will be, yeah.
Yeah,
That's for the we do these all the time.
Huh?
We've done these all the time.
Right,
Through all this.
yeah. Rita, will you make sure the city manager knows to contact Michael Betts to be here for the second reading of it?
Thank you. Susan will take care of it.
All right.
So we're down to the last one, or we still have more?
No, this is,
Last one.
that's it.
Okay. And so you'll have to introduce it, right?
That's the motion, take it off the table.
This last one, I'm not taking off the table.
I said you'll have to have a motion to remove it from the table.
Oh,
It was a table.
right, it was tabled.
Yeah.
All right, motion to take it off the table.
Second.
Okay.
Is there council discussion on that?
We have to vote on remove the
We
table.
have
whether
to vote first if we're
We'll
gonna take
vote,
it off the
and
table.
we can have discussion.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Mr. Clement,
No,
Ms. Nguyen,
To take it off the table, yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers.
Yes.
Okay, so you can introduce it now.
discussion.
You said you could have discussion after.
Should be, well, it's already been introduced, so we can go to discussion.
Yeah, I have a discussion under taking it off the table. I think this should stay on the table or just throw it in the trash.
Well,
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
that's fine. I disagree with you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll introduce it and we can go ahead.
Okay. A resolution reprimanding the Nelsonville City Manager for dishonesty with Nelsonville City Council. Whereas on January 8, 2024, Nelsonville City Manager Thomas P. Jimmy informed council that he would order city vehicles to remain parked and not allow vehicles to be taken home by employees until the Police and Fire Committee had developed an employee take-home policy. Whereas after informing the council that employees would not be allowed to drive city vehicles home, the city manager then permitted employees to take vehicles home. Now therefore be it resolved by the Nelsonville City Council that Thomas P. Jimmy, Nelsonville City Manager, is hereby reprimanded for dishonesty with Nelsonville City Council. Nelsonville City Council warns Thomas P. Jimmy that any further dishonest act with council will likely result in his removal as city manager. Nelsonville City Council warns Thomas P. Jimmy that any further dishonest acts with council duly resolved by Nelsonville City Council this 12th day of February 2024.
Motion to adopt?
I'm sorry. There it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Second, your motion.
Is there discussion?
I thought you just did.
No, until you made a motion. I think, is Mr. Kangemi still on the phone? He is. Okay. So can I get a definition of the word dishonesty in this resolution?
He lied.
He
Straight up.
lied. So that's the definition? He lied?
If that's what you want us to change it to, we can do.
No, I didn't ask that. I asked for a
Yeah,
definition.
he lied.
That's your definition.
Straight
Okay.
up. It's not.
So also under section 2, will likely result in his removal as city manager. I think we're going down a slippery slope here. I think we need to be very, very careful with this. Or we will be back in that little room in the back for another big discussion.
Madam President,
Yes.
I spoke with the city manager about this Friday. And I said, Tom, you should have told us one thing and then did another. And his answer to me, I was just trying to be conciliatory. We have the chief of police sitting here. And let's just ask him if he was told by the city manager that the cars couldn't go back out.
He asked me initially to have the officers park the cars and work on the guys that went further out of town, making arrangements to get them switched out. And then at some point, you guys had another meeting, and afterwards, some kind of no decision was came to, no clear decision was came to. And then after then, we advised him to go ahead and just continue using the vacant policy we had.
Just to be clear, there was no decision made in the executive session.
He told us,
It was,
Because the discussion, I think the
There
second
was discussion.
discussion
he told
took place in
he told us that he would park the cars until the police and fire committee.
If I may, Mr.
I
Kangemi
disagree.
is not here to defend
I
himself.
will,
And also, are we taking like statements of fact that could later become an issue in this.
Well, all of us was in that meeting and all of us can remember what was said. And he told us that he would park the cars until the police and fire committee come up with a policy.
I will agree with your statement. We all were in that meeting and we all remember what was said. However, when some of us say what actually was said, we're called liars. So I'm going to disagree that that's not what happened at all. This is not true.
And since I've signed a non-disparagement clause, I can't respond to that. But it was plainly said, I will have the cars parked until the police and fire committee does something, and that he did differently. And I think that qualifies for the word dishonesty. And if that kind of dishonesty doesn't stop, I would suggest that you two support him under any circumstances and telling him that he's going to have to come in and honestly deal with city council.
Okay.
So,
Motion to call a question.
Discussion's done.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it is done.
No, it is not.
It is
This
done.
is nothing but an attempt of character
Madam
assassination.
President, I have a motion
Mr.
to call a question that someone will say.
It will be dealt
I
later.
will second it.
I have the floor.
Go ahead and vote.
Call the roll on motion to end discussion.
Order.
We have order.
Thank you. Call roll.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Mr. Clement?
Absolutely no.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms.
No,
Sonic?
we're not taking it. We're voting.
It's motion to end discussion.
I'm sorry, are you coaching her on how to vote?
Oh, no.
She asked a question.
I am too.
I asked her, are we tabling this?
Okay.
And I said, no, this is where we are voting to pass it.
That sounds like a leading.
That's enough, Mr. Taylor. That's enough.
Okay, I just want to say one thing. We get different stories from different people. All we have to deal with is what we know about. We don't know about anything else that was told to anyone else. I have an issue with this because we.
No, we need to.
Can't do that.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm
Speak
sorry.
up. Go ahead and speak up. It's
So
okay.
sorry,
It's okay.
broke the rules.
It's okay. Just speak.
No,
Mr. Flowers?
I have issues with this also. And I want to just briefly, because I know we're time. Well, go ahead, Dan.
Go on.
But I know our time is.
well, then go ahead and say it, John, honey.
Is limited, but I think the language is a little too strong for me. I think, and I've said this before, I think if we're going to reprimand him, we need to reprimand him in writing and put it in his file and not threaten to fire him if it happened again. So I'm either going to have to vote no, or I'm going to abstain on this vote, because I can't, I think that language is too strong for me. So I'll abstain my vote. Can I do that?
No, just go ahead and vote now, John. If you don't agree with it.
You can't tell him how to vote.
Stop,
That's inappropriate. That's
That's
inappropriate.
enough.
It is an
Johnny, you
inappropriate.
It is inappropriate.
Enough. Johnny, you can vote whichever way you want.
I would abstain my vote.
Is that everything?
No, Mr. Smith.
I'll vote yes. Johnny wants to explain to you the law. That's all.
Clarification, this did not pass, correct?
It was,
Three no's.
It didn't pass, it didn't get 4 yeses, it didn't pass.
Okay. I think that was the last one finally.
Madam President, the city manager is no longer on the phone with us, so I don't think he has a report.
That's fine. Any other comments for the good to order section?
Yes, I want to, we've already had a city manager report. I want to thank the citizens of Nelsonville for my 25 years on serving on council. I have some very serious health issues. For one of them, when I come to a council meeting, I have to not take painkillers that day. And I'm in serious pain that doesn't withdraw. So, and I promised my family that when I filed my last petition, that I would only serve a certain amount, a short amount of time to help you know, understand, get used to running the meetings and things like that. And because of those reasons, I just have to resign from council. And I'll resign effective tonight.
Okay.
And, but I wanted to say what a pleasure it was to advocate for the people in Nelsonville. And I'll still be advocating for the people in Nelsonville as best I can in the future.
I accept your resignation, sir. Thank
But-
you.
Thank you for your, there'll be a motion to
Thank you for your
accept.
service.
We need to vote on it.
Yeah, vote.
Motion to accept.
I second.
Thank you.
Do I get a vote?
You know.
Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. I know, but I'm still voting to quit.
Yes.
Okay, so that's everything, right? Okay. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So no one else is allowed to have good of order?
We're done. I asked for that. You said, nobody said anything. We're adjourned.
He literally was the only one that had good of the order, or was allowed to have good of the order, and then we accepted his resignation, and then no one else is allowed to have good of the order? That's exactly what good of the order is.
You got a good of the order thing to say it.
Say it.
Wow. Say it, Corey.
Mr.
Say
Taylor,
it.
you
Mr.
just,
Clement was gonna go first, so let him go
Okay.
first. And if you have nothing for good of the order, that's fine. At least other people
That's
might have.
enough.
Since I can't vote no more, you still make a motion to adjourn.
pardon me. I thought no one else had anything to say because when I first said it, nobody said anything until Mr. Gregg finally started speaking. So I'm sorry.
He was being
Go
polite.
ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to once again say that we are very lacking in our boards and commissions. We can't accomplish a whole lot of what needs to be done unless we have members. But I'm also going to now add that it's more than apparent council has some serious issues. Does anybody have a suggestion how we can get people to volunteer for our boards and commissions?
I have a suggestion.
Okay,
Stop that.
Mhm.
about that.
Oh, okay.
So
That includes all of you then.
Stop that.
I'll second that.
I think we could get more participation if we stopped.
I agree. Kind of when you went for council originally, how you shared what the definition of compromise was, right? So it is.
I know what it said, Corey. You don't have to.
Okay, I'm just reminding you. So I do have a good of the order as well, and I just want to wish everybody.
Mr. Flowers was speaking when you interrupted him.
Oh.
Were you done, Mr. Flowers?
I was done. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Thank
I
you.
wasn't.
Thank you.
Oh, my apologies.
So we have a resignation on council. What is the process now to appoint and fill someone for that?
I
seat?
will be sending a notice to Mr. Pfeiffer to set notice on our website, allowing people to turn in, if they are interested in participating as a council person, to send in their information. And then we will set a meeting to talk to anyone who sends
I would
interest
suggest
in it.
that by the next regular meeting, if I could.
And
yeah.
I was also going to ask him to do the same for committees. since you
Great,
asked.
that's a good idea.
Thank you. So do we know and have in place a process to interview the candidates so that they know what the process will be and also council members?
When I have the process prepared and ready, I will announce it and let everyone know, including putting it online.
Okay,
The first step is for anyone who's interested to send in their information.
okay, and we can participate in what the process will be also.
Everyone can.
Okay, just want to clarify. Thank you. That's all I have.
They send that to you?
I will ask, Mr. Pfeiffer to send them directly to Miss Susan. And when she has a certain amount, she can forward them to all of council, and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, there typically is a deadline for that.
Right, I mean, I'm only gonna do it for, the notice will be for a week. And hopefully somebody will be interested in helping. So, Mr. Taylor.
I just want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day coming up and Thanksgiving. Hug your wife and pick the turkey. No, happy Valentine's Day. So everybody enjoys it.
Okay, great. So since we had already voted to adjourn, did we not?
We didn't
All right,
We had,
motion to adjourn,
we had that.
second, yeah, okay, go ahead and call roll.
Mr. Clement,
I already quit.
Get up.
Mr. Clement,
Mercifully, yes.
Ms. Wynn, Ms. Sonic, Mr. Flowers,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Taylor.
All right, well, thank you all for
Yeah.
coming.
Jesus.